Just wait. Stop it!
Has he really found a way to surpass an Ascended Saiyan? Is that possible?
He must be bluffing. I mean, what would that make him? Double Ascended?
And this
What's he doing?
is to go even further beyond! Stop it now! Go, go!
I'm sorry that took so much longer than the others, but I haven't had much occasion to practice this one. This is what I call a Super Saiyan 3.
Yo, what's up, chefs? Got another banger for you today, coming in the form of my Whirling / Lich guide. And yes, this is the best build I've ever played in POE 2. I know some people really don't like the word best. Sorry, it's the truth here. And it's also my favorite build that I've ever played by far. Of course, as always, you can expect to find a full Mobalytics, max roll, and POB planner down in the description, alongside a full brand new trade link Google document. It's going to have you covered for your acquired uniques, priority stats, which I recommend you read, the trade links for all your non-unique items, and even a section for your jewels down here at the bottom. Going to be super helpful, can't recommend it enough. However, before you click off the video, if you're one of the people that only really cares about the written planners, I understand, I get you. That's why I include all the written documents every single time. But I'm going to ask you a quick favor. Go ahead and hit the subscribe and like button on your way down to the description. And if you want to be extra generous, go ahead and just slide the video over to your second monitor, crank the volume down and let it run, because the YouTube algorithm hates it when people click on a video and then shortly after click off or pause it. So you can do me a solid, which in return will do you a solid, because I'll be able to create better and more content in the future. With all of that out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and let some gameplay run in the background while I cover the pros, cons, and just basic mechanics of the build so you have an idea of what's going on. Then we'll hop into the more nitty-gritty, detailed section of the video where you guys get a lot more specific information. It's going to be a good one. You got to stay tuned. So, when it comes to the pros and cons, it's honestly pretty simple with this one. It's the most well-rounded build I've ever played in POE 2 by far, period. It has massive AoE. It's extremely fast. You are Thanos level tanky, like face tank T4 Pinnacle boss mechanics level tanky. It's disgusting. There's a variant of the build, or like a slight version where you tweak a couple things. You can 99% AFK farm T4 Simulacrum as long as you're willing to just hold down a singular button. You don't even have to move. You literally just sit there holding a button. 99% AFK, full T4 Simulacrum farm. It's insanely good at mapping. I mean, it's the best build I've ever played. It's insane. It's disgusting. It's OP. Call it what you want. It's insanely strong. For the cons, the negative side of things is without investing a decent chunk of change, like 50, 60 plus exalts additional beyond where it's currently at, you're going to hover around 1 to 1.5 million boss DPS. And as far as I can tell, there's not many ways to really crank that up without those pretty heavy investments. Honestly, though, that's not that bad. I mean, you're killing T4 Pinnacles in 20 to 30 seconds. It definitely doesn't feel bad. You can't die. Like, you could probably take your hands off the keyboard and not die. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to beat that. And then also, you get stuck on walls and maps every once in a while, but that's kind of just like a learning curve thing. At first, it happens more often, and then as you get better with Whirling /, it happens very infrequently, so it's honestly not that bad. When it comes to the basic idea of what makes this build work, let me quickly clarify that I did not invent the combination of Whirling / and Ignite. I don't know who did. Bless them, praise them. I can almost guarantee you it wasn't a content creator. What I did do, though, is take that strategy and apply it to the Lich. There were about like 3 to 5 total crackhead individuals on POE Ninja whenever I first started doing this that were also trying to do something similar. I took some information from them. There's a chance they probably took some information from me. And ultimately, I adapted and then optimized the build about 100 plus times to create what I'm presenting to you guys. With that being clarified, let's go ahead and hop into the basic idea of the build. And the long story short version is we're using Incinerate, stacking it up 8 times to create Ignited Ground, we are then picking up the ignited ground with our Whirling Slash, and from that point forward, you're just slashing through the map, or slashing around the boss, or standing in place, pressing the slash button over and over again in Simulacrum, killing everything with the Ignite. To be clear, all of your damage, like 99.9% of the damage, is coming from the Ignite effect, which is scaled through Incinerate. This will get much more complicated in the detailed section, but what you need to know here for a basic understanding is the more you can improve the damage of your Incinerate, the more you can improve the damage of your Ignite, the better off you're going to be when you're actually using Whirling Slash. So, now that you have a general understanding of the build, let's hop into some more specific information, starting off with the skills. As previously mentioned, Incinerate is going to play a large part here. We're trying to juice it up as much as possible. The best 5 support gems for that are going to be Searing Flame, Hourglass, Concentrated Effect, Considered Casting, and Controlled Destruction. If you so choose, you can swap Controlled Destruction for Burgeon, but you do need a lot of extra mana for that. So if you have any issues, just swap it back to Controlled Destruction. That's what I use. It works fine. After that, we have 2 Whirling Slash setups. One's for AoE, and then the other one is for attack speed, energy barrier, bleed chance, and some knockback effect over here. Let me just go ahead and show you guys how we make use of these. So whenever we start a map, or whenever we go to do a map, we go ahead and put on our Crown of Victor and our Fire Flower. We go ahead and use Incinerate, stack it up 8 times. Then we will use the AoE Whirling Slash first. You can see it went on cooldown. After that, every other Whirling Slash for the map, for the boss, or whatever content you're doing can just be the other one. The benefit here is you get basically the effects of both. So you get the increased area of effect from the first one, but then you get the increased attack speed, bleed chance, and all the other good stuff from the second one. And this is super duper helpful. You're basically like getting 9 total support gems for this one skill. Super great. After your Whirling Slash, we have Withering Presence with Persistence, Chaos Mastery, and Mysticism. And I'll explain how you get the extra spirit from Mysticism in just a second, but don't worry about it for right now. Chaos Mastery, of course, just increasing the level, giving us more effect. Nothing super special here. Blasphemy is going to be Despair and Ritualistic Curse. This is going to actually bring most enemies' Chaos Resistance below 0, which, if you haven't caught on yet, the reason why the Chaos Resistance part is important is because we're using the Black Flame Ring. This is going to convert our Ignite damage from fire to Chaos damage, so we don't have to worry about any fire penetration in our build, just Chaos penetration if we want it. Not penetration, but a Chaos Curse, I should say. So, of course, we run Despair with that. If you improve the quality of your Blasphemy, you can see down there at the bottom, Reduced Reservation of Skills. If you up it all the way, you get 20% quality. That'll give you enough extra spirit to then also use Mysticism, which is just an extra 30% increased spell damage, which obviously doesn't hurt. After Blasphemy, we're going to go ahead and run Convalescence for our second weapon set with Ingenuity and Second Wind. All I mean by that, I'm sure you guys know by now, but you just select second weapon set, and now you basically, you pretty much, both Convalescence and Blasphemy are using the same 60 spirit, but they're never using them at the exact same time, so you're good to go. You get 2 spirit skills for the price of 1. Easy peasy. Moving on to the passive tree, I'm going to highly recommend you head over to the POE planner because Max Roll and Mobalytics are not really responding correctly to the From Nothing diamond and the weapon set points, so just make sure you use the POE planner for the passive tree at least. With that being said, when it comes to the passives, the non-weapon set points should be very self-explanatory. We're just getting a ton of extra energy shield, spell damage, fire damage area of effect, magnitude of ignite, more energy shield, and then more importantly, we are just putting ourselves in positions of the passive tree to then make use of our other weapon set points. So this is very important. Once you get all of the regular passive points set up, which keep in mind this is built for a level 93 character, I've been running this setup since level 86 though. You just have to make some little adjustments here and there. Shouldn't be too hard to figure out. You can just drop some energy shield, drop some spell damage is a really easy one to choose, but you'll be able to make it work. Don't worry about it. With that being said, once you've got all your regular passive points, the weapon set points are pretty unique and they make the build work in a lot of ways. The red is going to be for weapon set 1. This is your spear, focus, what you're using for Whirling Slash. Everything here is going to be attack speed, area of effect. So area of effect, attack speed, and then more attack speed. Whole goal here, juice up Whirling Slash. More AoE, more attack speed equals mo beta. After that, the green points are going to be for weapon set 2, aka your wand and your sun splinter, which is what we're using to juice up our incinerate. For this, we're just getting some spell damage, a bunch of extra stuff related to magnitude of ignite and fire damage up here, and then additionally some more magnitude of ailments down here, which is also helpful for ignite. Now that you've got all that, let me just come down here to this bottom right section, because this can be a bit of a doozy for some people. Essentially what's going on here is we have a jewel called the From Nothing Diamond. You can see it right there. The cheap version of this setup, which is what I used for most of my playtime on the build. I have upgraded since then, but I'm not going to include that here because it is more expensive. The cheap version, which works really well, is to get a From Nothing Diamond with Elemental Equilibrium. I'll include that in the trade links, don't worry. It's very cheap. I think it's a Divine or less. It might even be like 5 Chaos, I think, actually. You're going to need one of those. That's going to give you this ring down here, which is going to allow you to allocate stimulants and 2% extra attack speed. So in total, while you have a flask active, you should pick yourself up a Melting Maelstrom for this because it lasts for 9 seconds, which is very good. You're going to have an additional 18% attack speed, which this is the best bang for your buck by far when it comes to attack speed. If you hate using your flask, you can do other things, but I highly recommend this. This is what I did. Highly, highly recommend it. Then, for your amulet, not your Fire Flower amulet whenever you're using Incinerate, but whenever you're using Whirling Slash, your regular amulet, I've got a gold amulet right now, you're going to allocate Acceleration, which is right here, and that's going to give you an additional 10% skill speed, which is basically the same thing as attack speed for this skill. Alternatively, this is what I'm doing, and this is going to cost you more currency. You can get a From Nothing Diamond that has Dance with Death allocated, which will put a big circle right here. That will allow you to allocate Acceleration for 10%, another 3%, another 3%, 3%, 3%, 3%, and then another 10%. So you get a lot more attack speed if you go this way. And then you would anoint on your amulet stimulants. So what I've got right now, you can actually see in game. I have the Dance with Death From Nothing. I have all of this extra attack speed. And then I have stimulants anointed on my regular amulet. Not what I'm recommending now, because the Dance with Death From Nothing is like 9 div. So that's like, you could basically get the entire rest of the build for close to 9 div. So I'm not going to recommend that because it's just super expensive for what you actually get. But that is a point to keep in mind for the future, or for those of you that have extra currency. And then I'll also just quickly touch on the differences between the mapping and bossing tree. So as I stated before, if you guys come down here to the bottom left, you can swap between the trees. The only thing we're doing is we're taking these 9 weapon set 1 points, and for the bossing tree, we're getting rid of them. We're actually allocating 4 of them right here, which is freeing up 2 points, because before, these 2 points were regular points. So this frees up 2 points. We slap those 2 points right here for 20% more elemental damage. And then the other 5 weapon set 1 points come over here. The important part of these points is, as far as I'm aware, this is the only way to increase your damage on bosses with weapon set 1 points. So it makes sense to use the weapon set 1 points here as opposed to anywhere else, if that makes sense, because this is giving us increased effect of Withered, which we apply Withered with our spear out. Everything else, as you can tell, has to either be a green line or a regular line to apply to our incinerate damage. Like this spell damage, if we got this spell damage from weapon set 1, it wouldn't do anything for incinerate because it would only be active while our spear's out. This, since it's active while our spear's out, but we're applying Withered to the boss with our spear, we don't have to use incinerate for it, but it actually increases our ignite damage. So that was probably a convoluted and complicated way to explain that, but hopefully it makes sense. There's not a huge difference between the mapping and bossing tree, but it does probably give you like an extra 100,000 DPS or something like that, so it's probably certainly worth it. And then finally, I'll just quickly go over the Ascendancy nodes. Nothing super special here. We're just getting a bunch of extra tankiness by coming down for these 4 nodes. We're obviously getting the Jewel Socket with 100% increased effect. And then we're actually just getting 2 small nodes, because if you want, you can get Rupture the Soul, but it just seems completely overkill for me. It's not necessary at all, and there's just nothing else that's valuable. But the increased area of effective curses and the increased maximum energy shield are actually like good. Like I wouldn't sleep on them. These are very valuable. If I take this off, I lose 500 energy shields. So I mean, it's a decent node. And then if you're curious what jewel I'm running in my Lich slot, since it doesn't show up in POB or any of the planners very well, I would recommend running increased magnitude of ignite and increased effective withered for the 2 prefixes. That's going to be the most damage you can get. Will be a little expensive potentially, but that is going to be the most damage you can get. And then for the suffix, the only things that really matter are additional stun threshold or ailment threshold. So that's really all you're looking for there. Moving on, let's go over the items, and I'm actually going to start things off with just the required uniques for the build, and to do that, I'm going to use the trade links document. Starting off with Sky Sliver, this is the spear you're going to be using for maps. We'll go ahead and open the link really quick. Make sure to read these notes that I've got here, or pay attention to the notes at least. For the Sky Sliver, you're literally just looking to increase the attack speed roll and then get 2 sockets. So for 1 div, the best bang for your buck is going to be roughly 24% increased attack speed with 2 sockets. If you want to go more expensive, you can just increase that attack speed number, and it is worth doing so, but it does just get more expensive. After Sky Sliver, we have Scythe's Spear. This is going to be used for bosses. The important part here is it has much lower attack speed, which doesn't matter for bosses, but it has a chance to aggravate bleeding on hit, and any bleeding that's aggravated will also aggravate the ignites on the target. Anything that's aggravated does double damage. So this is super helpful for bosses, literally just doubles our damage. Absolutely amazing. Once again, pay attention to the notes. You're looking for 39% or more aggravate chance. The trade link has already got you set up for that. They're going for 5 exalted each. If you want to optimize this, you can take that up to 40% chance. You can improve the chance to cause bleeding, and then you could get 2 rune sockets to slot in increased chance to bleed, which is what I've done. But honestly, I didn't notice much of a difference when I did that, so do that at your own prerogative. After that, we have Crown of the Victor. Once again, going to be another super cheap unique here. All we care about here is the +1 level of all skills. We just throw this on when we go to use our Incinerate. It gives us an extra boost to our damage. Nothing super special. Following that, we have Fire Flower. Basically the exact same thing as Crown of the Victor. This is giving us plus a level of fire skills. At a minimum, I would recommend getting +4, and you need to get one that's uncorrupted so you can properly corrupt it with Burn Away. That's going to be the best Anoint in my opinion. And if you get a corrupted one, obviously you can't do that, so make sure you get an uncorrupted one. The way you can improve this is to get +5 or +6 level of fire skills, but those get very expensive. But that would actually be a massive boost to your damage. But for the cheap version, the version that I'm using, I'm currently using a +4. I'm not using +5 or +6. Definitely don't need it. +4 is going to be perfectly fine. And it's going to cost you about 1 div, maybe 2 div probably. After that, we have Black Flame, which this is going to be a super important, once again, another very important unique for the build. Arguably the most important, because this is going to convert your fire damage ignite over to a chaos damage ignite. The reason why that's so valuable is we don't have enough passive points to actually get fire penetration in the build. Most enemies, for those of you that don't know, most enemies in the game have 0% chaos resistance, including bosses, so this just frees up a lot of points. We don't have to worry about getting any penetration. So super duper important. You can get one with 55% or more increased magnitude of ignite for about 5 chaos, so it's very, very cheap. After Black Flame, we have the From Nothing Jewel. This is going to be the final mandatory unique for the build. You're going to need a From Nothing with passives in radius of elemental equilibrium can be allocated. We talked about this in the passive tree section. If you want more info on that, make sure to go check it out. The more expensive version is to get one with Dance with Death, but Dance with Death is going to be about 7 to 9 div, so definitely not recommended. Like you're getting nowhere near, like you're not getting a lot of value whenever you go to Dance with Death. You are getting like 10-20% attack speed roughly, so it is important, but it's like for 7 div, you know, I'm not going to recommend that to everybody. I'm only recommending that to people that want to push the build further. And then after that, I've thrown Gloamgown in here. I'm not going to talk about Gloamgown whatsoever. If you know about it, you want to start trying to use it, go for it. I will be covering this in the next video where I dive into how to like optimize the 99% AFK T4 Simulacrum setup, but that's what this is going to be for. If you want to start messing around with it, feel free. Long story short, you combo it with Energy Barrier, the support gem on Whirling Slash. and magical things start to happen. That's why you saw in the intro that I could just sit there and face tank Simulacrum. You can kind of do that without Gloam Gown, but Gloam Gown makes it to where you can literally just sit still and face tank permanently, and you're good to go. But that's going to be all the required uniques. Now that we've covered all the uniques, let's hop into the rest of the items, and I'm going to start with the only one that's like kind of important, I would say, or like really unique to this build, and that's going to be your second ring. The important part here is you want to get as much fire damage as possible. This is going to be one of the only other ways to really scale our damage outside of all of those unique items. Everything else is going to be like kind of standard items. You know, you'll probably understand what I mean, but essentially we're just looking for energy shield, rarity, resistances, attributes. It really is not anything special. We want attack speed on our gloves if we can get it, because of course this is going to make us move a lot faster. But it's not mandatory, although I would highly recommend it. But I guess what I'm getting at here is there's not a lot of other stats that are important, which is like really nice because it makes the rest of your gearing super easy. And this is why we end up having just such a massive amount of energy shield. Right now, you can see we're sitting at 14.6k. This number fluctuates a lot when we make just very slight changes to the build. I'll show you a quick example. If I take off these 2 points and then I add them over here, I'm going to go up to like, yeah, I'm all the way up to 15k. Oh, wait, whoops, hold on. Add one more. I'm up to 15.4. Like it, you've probably seen this number jump around in the intro or whatever during the gameplay. It's because when I change 1 point, I get like 500 extra energy shield. So it probably looks like I'm making bigger changes than I am. I'm not actually changing much. And so essentially what I should say is outside of the required uniques, the only things that like you should focus on are fire damage on this extra ring and then attack speed on your gloves. Everything else, you're just trying to maximize your energy shield, attributes, resistances, and rarity as much as possible, and it ends up being really, really easy, which is why my character actually has 122% rarity, over 15k energy shield. I'm resistance capped with 79, 79, 77. It's just insanely amazing. I mean, my focus, for example, is all energy shield. It's just energy shield recharge rate and then maximum energy shield. For 500 ES, if I take that off, I go from 14.6k all the way down to 11.7. And so you can just see, like, I take my chest piece off, I go from 15k to like 9.4. Like, it all just stacks up because you can get so much. Even the boots, for example, you don't even need move speed on my boots. I have no move speed on my boots at this point, and I can just blast around at light speed. And that allowed me to get a pair of boots with 351 energy shield, 24% rarity, 33 intelligence, 22% fire res for like 1 div, which if you tried to get that with 25 or 30% movement speed, it'd be like 60 div, like 100 div probably. So essentially outside of the uniques, you have a lot of freedom to play around here. You can get rarity on pretty much every single piece. Your belt can just, you don't need life anywhere. For example, your belt, all you care about is like resistances. And if you want to be extra picky, you can get armor and mana. But it's really just get 90% resistances here real quick from your belt and feel good about it. And yeah, you don't need mana, you don't need life, you don't need like really anything. So you just slam energy shield wherever you can, rarity, attributes, resistances, and you're going to be good to go. And lastly, I'll just give a couple extra tips for optimization here for anybody that's curious. Make sure you go ahead and get quality on your Incinerate, Withering Presence, and Blasphemy. It doesn't matter on any of the other ones. Make sure you get as low of a level of Whirling Slash as possible. Make a new character, go to Clearfell, get an uncut level 1 skill gem. That's what I did. You'll be good to go. In addition to that, if you get to the point where I'm at now, roughly, and you're curious about like, okay, how do I scale my boss damage anymore? Because as I've said previously, we're kind of at like a plateau prior to just investing more currency. But those next spots to invest more currency would be, the easiest one would be about 8 div. You can get +1 extra level on your Sun Splinter if you get a corrupted one with +4 levels of fire skills. After that, you can get +5 and +6 on your Fire Flower. And then ultimately for you guys, you can get the Dance with Death allocation from nothing. And then the last one, which is also going to be very expensive, would be to get a Prism of Belief jewel with +3 levels to Incinerate. Hopefully I'm including some of this stuff up on screen right now, so it's not just like me saying random words that you don't understand. But with that being said, a lot of those things are going to be decently expensive. and it's really up to the person. Like, the build is at a point where it can do everything in the game now with ease, pretty much, and it's insanely strong. So if you want to scale it further, you can, and those would be the ways to do it, but you don't have to. And I know some of you may be wondering, like, well, how does getting +1 extra level of your fire skill make that much of a difference? I'll just quickly do a little graph here on MS Paint to show you guys why it's so important. This is one of those things where you just have to trust me a little bit. I could kind of demonstrate it in POB, but this build is not very POB friendly. Basically, if you have your skill levels down here on the bottom, so we'll go skill, level, and then you have power of the skill over here on the right. And this is like level 20, and this is 30, and this is 40, which 40 is the max level skill. The curve basically looks like this, where right around when you get to like 30, 31, 32, every extra level is exponentially getting much, much, much more valuable. So with the current setup and our Crown of the Victor and Fireflower on, we're sitting at level 33. So those extra, like 2 levels from Fireflower, 1 level from Sun Splinter, 3 levels from Incinerate would actually be massive DPS increases, which is part of the reason why they're so expensive. So just something to keep in mind there. Like I said, I could kind of show you guys this in POB, but it's way more complicated in POB because this build, POB is not picking up the Black Flame conversion from fire damage to chaos, so like it just doesn't work very well. You're just gonna have to trust me. This is how skill level scaling works in POE 2. So those extra levels are super, super important. You're gonna go up and up and up and do massive damage. And those are the next spots that I'm looking to optimize the build. Maybe one day I'll try a double Black Flame setup if I can get enough resistances to where I don't need any from this ring, but that'd be pretty difficult. I'm not sure. I don't think that would be too valuable. You're basically getting like 55% increased magnitude of ignite compared to 40% increased fire damage, and you're losing rarity and stuff. So I don't know. I don't think there's too many options other than what I've already discussed. I've given it a lot of thought. So do with that, guys, what you will. And I hope you guys enjoy the build. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to go ahead and subscribe, like. Let me know your feedback down in the comments. Let me know if it's working out for you, and if I missed anything, make sure to let me know. I'll be making a separate video where I cover optimizing this build for Simulacrum, T4 Simulacrum in specific. So you can do like a 99% AFK farm. You could tape your left click on your mouse down, and then you could just go AFK completely, and you'd be good to go. New video coming for that soon. Stay tuned. And last but not least, take it easy, chefs.
As you fade away, as you fade away.